everybody. This is Joe.
And I'm John, and today we're here to review Sicario, directed by Denis Villeneuve, who also directed Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's written by Taylor Sheridan, who also co-starred in Sons of Anarchy for the first 4 seasons. And might I say, this is his first screenplay, aside from acting, and it's already getting Oscar buzz and a potential sequel. So for his first run at writing his own movie, and it also being an A-list movie in almost every theater, good job, bro. Good job, dude. That shit is really impressive.
All right, Joe. I know you like to hear yourself talk, but give us the quickest synopsis you can of the story.
Okay, John. Well, Sicario centers around this girl named Kate, who volunteers to join a special unit to take down the cartel after an ambush happens on her own team in the FBI. It's only after she joins the cartel, which is recruited by another character named Matt, that she realizes that something is off with the team and they aren't who they seem to be. That's pretty much the basis of what the story is about. It's her slowly finding out what's actually happening.
I was honestly prepared to I was expecting you to just continue going, because that's just who you are. Thank you, I appreciate that, actually.
You want more?
No.
Sure.
The less you talk, the better.
Sicario's main character, Kate, is played by Emily Blunt, and although she fills a big role, she is shadowed by other actors who are right underneath her a little bit. Can you remember their name, or do you need me to look that shit up too?
Well, co-starring Josh Brolin, who plays Matt, who is a CIA, the guy who recruits her. Thank you. But Benicio del Toro, who also co-starred, is pretty much, the wild card. He's a man of very few words. He really keeps to himself, but, he's kind of, there, but you don't really know what his deal is.
So he's kind of mysterious. You're trying to figure it out. You're figuring him out the whole movie.
Yeah, he's basically, you're not really sure what his deal is.
It's like what every girlfriend says to you. Now, Sicario's main star, Emily Blunt, is straight off of Edge of Tomorrow, which was a huge action movie. It didn't really give her a lot of chance to shine. It showed she could be a badass, which, we both talked about how Marvel has been wanting her for a while now in all of their movies.
Yeah,
she's a badass chick.
Might be Captain Marvel. There's a chance. I don't know. I don't want to say
okay,
anything.
it's just a rumor, but we'll make a video about that if the fact is true. But anyway, this movie is very emotional and grounded, and it really gives her a chance to show that she can act and she isn't just a badass. Now, the movie is it really pulls at her strings, and it shows that she has these inner demons. She's giving this task, and in order to complete the task, she has to do things that she's not okay with, and it really shows the emotional struggle that she's going through while forcing herself to do things she doesn't want to.
Honestly, I thought herself, she did a good job. I thought her acting ability in this role was good.
Here we go.
It's just, the character that she played was so whiny.
But, it makes sense for her to be whiny because she was working with people that were already that way, and they're trying to bring her up to that level when she wasn't like that. They're tearing her down, man.
Okay, I get that, but still.
It makes sense that she's whiny. If you had to do some of that stuff, you'd probably be bitching too. I don't even want to hear it.
Listen, some people need to get off their high horse, okay?
Are you serious?
See, the big issue I have with that, okay? Granted, her performance was good, okay? But listen, she's an FBI agent, okay? Which means she deals with strenuous things like that on a daily basis. Maybe not to that extreme.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I can understand that, but still, she should be prepared for that. Okay, you're going in every day.
Not that. You know what? Okay, no spoilers.
Every day.
Just know that she's put through some shit that she can't handle. I thought it fit perfectly. He did not.
It was almost too much.
Okay, so who else was in it?
All right, Josh Brolin.
Who plays?
His name was Matt. You don't really know too much about him.
He's like the Agent Smith. You don't really know much except for his first name and the fact that he recruited her.
His character was very simple. And, almost to, his most primal state, which I get it in a guy in that situation has to be.
They don't give you too much information on him. All you know is what they're showing.
Yeah. I thought he did a good job of what they gave him, though.
He was very sarcastic, like
he
snarky.
It was very
like,
fluid
really, like,
to me.
you could tell, like, if you met this person and you were on a bad, like, you were having a bad day, you'd want to smack him. Like, he was just that kind of guy.
Yeah, it flowed very well for him, you know? So.
It seemed like he's naturally that kind of person. Like, he was that good at it. I gotta say, he did a good job in this role. Yeah. He did. And then there is Benicio del Toro. What'd you think of him?
Wow. That, you know what?
Oscar nod. Why? Why, though? Why? Why do you think?
Alright, I'll tell you exactly why.
Okay.
He is one person who could say so little,
but speak 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I always relate this to Tom Hardy. Like, in a lot of his roles, or even like Ryan Gosling, like in Drive, Tom Hardy in, I don't know, Warrior, they just have this thing, or like, okay, when he played Bane, you couldn't see his face, so the only emotion he could give you is what was in his eyes. And I think if a person can show you all of their emotions just by the way their eyes work, without even saying anything, it's good. Now, Benicio del Toro doesn't really talk a lot in the movie, but
barely at all, honestly.
You can tell by the way he looks, or by the sequence when he was having a dream. You could, like, you know, just...
And it's like when you first meet him, too. He's just sitting on a plane.
Quiet.
And Emily Blunt's looking over at him, and he's sleeping, but his hand is trembling. And out of nowhere, he just jumps up, wakes up, and he ends up scaring her. It was
good.
Impactful.
He's really good at acting without actually saying anything. He kills it, and you know he's that character where you look at him and you're like, something big is going to happen with him. Like, you know, something's going to go down, something's wrong with him. I feel uncomfortable watching him, but that's what makes him so good. He killed it in the role.
Yeah.
He will get an Oscar nom for that movie.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Without a doubt.
When you don't have to say anything to say so much, I agree. Well, he did a movie with Josh Hutcherson. It wasn't like a big movie.
He was also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, where he was Pablo Escobar. That's a more serious role that he's taken on. I didn't see it personally. I seen the trailer for it, and I read a couple interviews. But yeah, that's one of them.
He killed it. He killed it.
Absolutely.
He was incredible.
All right, now what score would you give the characters?
I would give the overall rating for the performances of the actors a 10. They all killed it. Every one of the movies served a purpose, and they lived up to it, and it met all my expectations. And that, you know, is my God's honest opinion.
I do have a little bit of a gripe about Emily Blunt. Okay, hear me out. Listen, before you go quick to judgment, okay? I will...
Why don't you give me...
Shut up.
Bottle of
Please
scotch
shut
and
up.
a handgun so
Please
I can blow my fucking
okay?
brains out.
Please let me talk. Shut up. Thank you. I will give the characters a 10. Okay? Are you happy now?
Yeah, I am.
We actually agree.
See? Okay.
Alright, so, what do you think of the score?
Awesome. Fantastic. You know what? A lot of movies do like a lot of weird things, like we talked about in Black Mass. They had rap in it. That song, The Devil is Alive. Or is it The Devil is a Lie?
The Devil's a Lie, I think.
Regardless.
Yeah, don't quote us on that.
Sometimes movies use weird music to give it some kind of mood. This movie did a very good job of creating this eerie, dark, and ominous like tone that every time something serious was happening, you felt like sick almost. Like it was really unsettling, but it fit perfectly for every scene. Just threaded it all together. It was like it was like the wrapping paper. It was just I just thought the sound was, you know, perfect. Even the gunshots. I said this in Black Mass too. They just sounded so real. Like these, just like you could tell, like, they took a lot of care into, you know, like observing what these guns sound like. You know, what certain situations, like the noises that happen, like what they would sound like. It all just sounded very pure, almost like you were there.
Yeah, you know, for me, I thought the score was on the simpler side. You know, they didn't really use too many actual songs. It was more beat driven.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say though is there almost seemed like there was a couple times where there was moments that stretched out where there really wasn't sound. You know, so you were kind of just.
But there was
sometimes it was almost uncomfortable.
But that's what they were going for.
I get
they
that.
They wanted you to feel uncomfortable in those scenes. But it's the fact that they wanted you to feel uncomfortable. It wasn't that they just messed up as, you know, a director or whatever the case may be. It's that they wanted you to feel comfortable.
Yeah,
so they succeeded in that.
No, listen, I get that. But after a certain amount of time, that uncomfortableness just, it turns into awkward.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No,
Listen,
it's only 2 hours long. That's like if it's like 16 hours watching this shit and it's still quiet.
Whatever. Listen,
I don't want to hear it anymore,
listen,
okay?
Listen.
You are such a goddamn Debbie Downer. You're like the Scrooge.
Talking to you is unbearable sometimes.
Your face is unbearable.
Oh my god.
Like,
have you looked in a mirror lately?
Yeah, and it slapped your
You have
image.
a red beard.
And
your hair is brown. Okay. What do you think the score of the score should be?
10.
10.
Perfect all around. What about you?
I am going to give it an 8.
Oh, come on!
Listen,
are you serious? God!
Let me ask you something.
You're like a pain in my balls.
Do you think through my mind? So my grade should have no effect on what you do.
Excuse me,
okay?
but your saliva is like
oh
smearing across my face. I'd appreciate it if you just like bless up like 5 feet. All right, you negative Nancy. What did you think of the overall story?
For me, the story seemed a little off. Now, I'll tell you exactly why. Okay? And don't roll your fucking eyes at me.
Excuse me, are you my dad?
I maybe. Okay.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
Let me
Jesus
finish,
Christ.
okay? Let me finish.
Savage.
It almost seemed like there wasn't enough story. Okay? There wasn't enough going on in the movie. Like, I feel like it should have been longer.
Okay, it wasn't story-driven. It wasn't complex. You take something like Interstellar, or even Black Mass, where it's following a guy's life. It's very... You have to fill it with a lot of shit that's happening. But this is just... It's a movie based on one mission. All their mission was to take down this cartel. And in completing that mission, they had to do a few tasks. So it's almost like watching a mission unfold.
But that's the thing. That's America's reality. We are literally living that every day.
I know, but the point of the movie was to
they
show us the hard
job.
But the point of
showing you more. Like, all right, granted.
No, the point of the movie is to show
all
you the horrors of America.
Yes, when they drive through Mexico, what, twice? One time, 3 times. Okay, one time just Benicio del Toro was there, so you can't really count that. Okay, and then another problem I have with the story is how anticlimactic Benicio del Toro's like finishing scene was.
What do you mean? That worked perfectly.
When he goes to the house?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Listen, they could have done that so much better. Okay?
I thought that was perfect. If
it
was a Michael Bay movie, then yeah, maybe. You know, hold on. To be fair, we cannot really get into this because we're breaching spoiler territory.
All right.
You don't agree with the ending. It's very opinionated because I know a lot of people that saw it and they said that they thought the movie was phenomenal. He obviously had a lot of issues with it.
There wasn't justice to it for me.
Okay, and that's fair. Why don't you shut up while I explain? He didn't get the fulfillment he needed out of it. It didn't satisfy him the way he wanted it to. It didn't live up to the expectation he wanted it, how it ended. I, however, thought it was perfect. It made sense for the tone.
It's a good thing nobody cares what he thinks.
The point of the movie was to show that it's not always a happy ending. It's not always the right ending. It's not always the wrong ending. You get what you get, and that's the world we live in. And it gave you that kind of like you do feel a little unsatisfied, but you're supposed to. All right. Well, what do you think of the overall story? What would you rate just the story itself?
The storyline?
Yes. I
will give a 4.5. And I don't care what you think, that's what I'm sticking with.
You're so unimaginative.
Listen, it was a flat storyline.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
It was a flat storyline.
You know what was a flat storyline? Everything you like.
Okay.
Your life is a flat storyline. The movie was fantastic. If you look at other reviews, you'll see that it got praised. It's coming out with a sequel.
Listen.
It's coming out with a sequel.
Okay, I understand it's coming out with a sequel.
I give it a 9. I give it a 9. The only reason I give it a 9 is solely because I did think that some scenes dragged on a little bit. There were some scenes they didn't need in there. And there are some scenes that could have ended like a minute or two sooner, but they just drag on with this lingering nothing. And I thought that the movie could have been like
it does.
The movie could have been
more than a couple times,
10 minutes shorter, and it would have been perfect.
Okay, a 9, little high for my taste. You know,
that's because you have no taste in anything,
including Joe. Now that we're past our whole situation. Overall...
I poisoned your food.
That's why I switched our plates. Overall, adding all of our scores together and averaging it, what did we give Sicario?
Everything together, it gets an 8.5. So, now, 8.5 is a very high score. This is a very opinionated movie. A lot of people are going to, take away from it different
controversial.
Things. It's controversial. Some people are going to absolutely love it. Like we said, it was directed by the guy that made Prisoners. I know a lot of people that didn't like that movie, and a lot of people that loved it. I personally loved it, and I personally loved this movie. I can understand why you don't like it as much as I do, and that's fine, because it's all opinionated. But please, let us know what you think if you see the movie. Write it down in the comments.
So, we're John and Joe, and this
is Hot and Cold, and he can go fuck himself.
And fuck his mother.